Do you feel like you have shiny object syndrome and you're just getting distracted constantly on different things to do, different things you can grow your business? You've just got your hands in so many things in the business that you can't seem to take the time to do the things that are really going to move the business forward. I know this is a lot, but there is a solution to get yourself off of this shiny object wheel and actually grow your business the way you want to. Hi there, my name is Abby Johnson with Matterhorn Business Development. I'm a profit first professional and I work with business owners every day to not only improve their profitability, but to also grow their business. I've worked with over 40 different industries and I see a lot of common problems across industries. And one of them is someone having shiny object syndrome, hopping around, buying different things, buying different softwares, doing different strategies. And I want to talk about that today and how exactly to get more focused and get yourself off of this kind of, I picture a rabbit like hopping around from one thing to another. Really quick, I want to review what we call here at Matterhorn the 4 pillars of business basics, because first of all, just knowing these pillars in the first place is going to help you focus on what actually matters in the business. So every business has to sell customers, then they have to deliver what was sold, then they have to market to get new customers to sell and deliver to. And this is a cycle that's always happening within the business. And then management is what's holding this machine together. These are things like finance, HR, legal, the future vision and planning and policies of the company. So most business owners coming to me are stuck in all 4 of these areas. They feel spread thin because their hands are in all of these areas. I want you to think about that as we're going through this video. First of all, what's the problem with this? Why does it matter if you're constantly trying new things? You've got to try new things to see what works, right? Well, the thing is you're usually actually wasting or losing time and wasting or losing money. Something to keep in mind is something that's actually called context shifting, which is where you're on one task in one area or project, and then you're having to stop and do another task in a different area or project and go back to that original project. Working this way actually slows down your productivity. Think about how you have to wear different hats in your business. You've got your CEO hat, you've got your finance hat, you've got your marketer hat, you've got your delivery hat, whatever that is. And if you're having to take off one hat and put on another, it takes time, first of all, to do that. Even though you aren't physically wearing hats in your mind, that switch is happening. For me, I work with my husband and I really don't like having to cross the mom and dad hats with the business owner hats. Sometimes if I'm in the middle of being a mom and doing mom things, and then my husband comes and asks me a business question, I have to pause, take off my mom hat and put on my business owner hat, and now readjust my mindset and viewpoint to answer his question. This is actually even worse if one is in the middle of actually doing work. So think about when you're doing work, and let's say you're working on the finances of the business and you're in the middle of looking at numbers, and someone comes and asks and says, hey, there's an angry customer outside, what do you want me to do? You've got to stop, readjust yourself and your viewpoint, answer their question, and then now you've got to go back to your numbers, figure out where you left off, probably restart whatever thought process you were in the middle of looking through those numbers, and you've just lost a whole bunch of time. One of my tips for you is to try as much as possible to batch your tasks into the different pillars that I mentioned, especially things like finance. Just make a day of the week your finance day. That doesn't mean you have to spend the whole day on it, but just you're going to do your profit first transfers, you're going to pay bills, you're going to run payroll, you're going to call that vendor and negotiate the price, whatever it is that is financially related, you're going to do all of that on one day at one time. You're not going to start in the middle and go do something else and come back. If something comes up throughout the week, unless it's like an emergency or super urgent, you can just put that, okay, on Friday, I'm going to go do that when it's finance time. It's also really beneficial for you as the owner if you can find a time to block off where you won't be interrupted. And unfortunately, this might be outside of business hours. Maybe you get there an hour before everyone, or for me, I usually put in some work time at night after my son has gone to sleep, and that's kind of time for me to catch up on admin and emails and those types of tasks. So if you can set some time on your calendar where you know you're not going to be interrupted, that's also where you're going to get the most productivity and have the least amount of distractions distractions, the least amount of interruptions, the least amount of switching from task to task. The next thing I want to mention is you've got to look at what you're doing and realize when you are working on only the things you enjoy in your business. Believe me, I know you didn't get into business because you just love spreadsheets and you want to be looking at finance and numbers all day, unless you are specifically a bookkeeper, but that is something that is necessary. I've had a lot of people come to me who want to implement Profit First, but they're just not taking the action to do it. And I think it's because it's not something that they enjoy. And I totally understand that. I actually don't enjoy the marketing piece of business, but that is something that's very important to my business that I have to carve out time for and carve out knowledge for. It's something that I'm constantly trying to grow my knowledge in, even though I'm not a fan of it, but I need to understand what's going on in that area of my business. So you've got to kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and be a big boy or a big girl and do the things you don't like. I see things like someone tinkering with their website or tinkering with their logo or going and buying equipment because obviously they have a passion for the delivery area of the business and they want to focus on that and they want to put all of their money towards that. But there's other areas of the business that need your attention. So you need to step back and realize when you are just focusing on the things you want to do rather than the things you need to do. Now, with batching your tasks, this can help with that as well of, hey, no matter what, I am doing finances on this day, whether I like it or not. In that same vein, you need to get crystal clear on what is actually going to move your business forward. Think about the big goal that you are moving towards. We call this here at Matterhorn the summit, the top of the mountain. For a lot of people, this usually looks something like, well, I'm not as involved in the day-to-day. The business is running without me. I'm able to go on vacations. I'm making this amount of money, whatever it is. And that's the summit. That's the vision of the business that they see. But a lot of times people lose sight of that and the actions and activities that are going to actually lead to achieving or reaching that summit. I see this a lot in terms of people getting distracted in perfecting details. My dad always said perfection is the enemy of profit. So yes, we want to put out professional looking things and we want our brand to be professional looking, but you also have to look at what's important. Yes, the customer is important. Yes, what you're putting out is important. But if you have no sales, your business will die. It is the lifeblood of the business. If you have a task on your plate or your to-do list that is sales oriented, that is the number one priority, not fixing your logo and changing the color and pulling a Walmart and doing a rebrand. Is changing the color of your logo actually going to generate more sales? That's what you need to look at and check in with yourself on is this project I'm spending hours on actually going to lead to more sales? That leads into my next point, which is keeping track of the correct statistics and KPIs in your business is also going to help you stay focused, and it's going to tell you what is working and what's not working. When I say this, most people think I'm just talking about the finances, but there are actually a ton of other metrics that you should be tracking, especially in the marketing and sales arena, so you know if something is working or not. For example, if you do launch a new website or a new logo, if you are tracking the statistics of your website, you can see before the rebrand, this is how many leads we were getting in from the website. This is how long people were staying on the website. This is how many visitors we had. Then you can see after the rebrand, wow, our leads went up, or maybe your leads stayed the same and it turns out that the rebrand didn't do anything. Either way, you need to know these things in the different areas of your business, and that's going to dictate what you need to be putting your attention on and what you need to be working on and what's actually important. If there is a metric that is going up and it is growing, don't touch that thing. Whatever you did is working, so you don't want to change it. But if you aren't tracking that number, you aren't going to know whether what you did was successful or not, and you might spend endless hours tinkering on your website to find out that your website was just fine the way it was before. We have several videos on this topic, but I would suggest checking out the one we have of the top 20 metrics you should be keeping track of in your business. Check that out for more on this particular topic. All right, so the other reason why you might have shiny object syndrome is just because you have so many ideas. You're a creative person, you're entrepreneurial, you have all these ideas of how you want to grow and get bigger and scale, and that's awesome. We need that. You need to have a vision. You need to have those big ideas, but they can't all be implemented at once, and they can't all be half implemented. So first of all, if you're going to implement a big idea, you need to stick to it. If you're going to try a new marketing channel, you need to stick to a new marketing strategy for at least 6 weeks to know if it's working or not. I don't want you to spend 40 hours setting up a cold email campaign, launch it, then you don't get results after 1 week and you say, well, this doesn't work. I'm going to go pay a Facebook agency for Facebook ads now. No, you need to stick with it for at least 6 weeks. And that way you know for real if it worked or didn't work. And then maybe you have a bunch of other great ideas you want to do. So what I want you to do with that is create like a brain dump file on your laptop or handwrite it if you need to in a notebook, whatever works for you, but just keep track of all of these ideas. And then once you get to a phase where you're ready for your next big idea, you can pull that document out and say, all right, this is what we're going to do next. Lastly, and most importantly, if you have shiny object syndrome, the main thing is that this is only going to change if you decide to change it. If you got through this video and you don't implement anything that I just said, nothing is going to change. So what I want you to do, I know I gave you a lot of ideas, but just pick at least one thing and go do it. Go implement it and go make a change. People just sit back and say, well, I don't have enough time to grow my business, or I don't have enough time to implement profit first, or I don't have enough time to understand my finances or my marketing, whatever it is. That's not going to change unless you change. So please take a look, take something from today's video, go take action. Don't go watch more YouTube videos. You don't need more YouTube videos. Go do something after you watch this video. Normally I give you some fancy call to action of what to do next, but I think my call to action to you today is to go take action. If you are interested in working with us or in any of our programs, you can check them out below. I'll see you in the next video.